Hello everyone, this is Gene and I'm back with another video. I hope you're all doing well. I am not doing well, sadly. As you may have seen from my previous two videos, there's a curfew going on for New York City because of the rioting going on, which is still going on. Our elected oppressors tell us that the curfews are going to help quell the violence, yet when you check with the news, right, you see that parts of like Tremont and the Bronx have been devastated. Have pharmacies were broken into, banks were broken into, because this is going to honor the memory of George Floyd and Trayvon Martin and all these other people over the years, over the decades, right, that have died due to police misconduct or police brutality, right? That's going to solve the problem, right? Looting Tremont in the Bronx, that's gonna stick it to the police. And what makes it worse is that, because here's the way I see it. In my opinion, these curfews actually or rather I should say, they embolden the rioters and the looters, because of the fact that there was already less people out and about in general, right? Because of COVID, we're under stay-at-home orders. We've been under stay-at-home orders for over 2 months now, so there's less people out and about in general. But when you have even less people now outside, right? Because of the 8 p.m. Curfew now, 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. for God knows how long. I mean, it's not as if politicians would ever abuse their power. They're totally only going to use it until the riots are over. But anyway, that, in my opinion, emboldens the criminal element, because now there's nobody except the police, who already have their hands tied, because if they get into an encounter with anybody, right, it's going to go to social media, and they're going to be accused of racism, right, or misconduct, even if that isn't the case, right? There's been videos of a cop getting beat down and all these other things, right? So because there's how do I put it? Because the police hands are effectively tied, regardless of the lies that elected oppressor Cuomo tells us, right? And I'm going to keep referring to them as elected oppressors. What they're doing is oppressive. It doesn't help. It does not create a state of protection. It's a police state, and that's a state of fear. So I'm going to keep referring to them as they are oppressors. They are oppressors who were elected by the voting public here in New York City. That's just the truth. But anyway, right? This is going to embolden them, because there's even less people outside, right? And while there is no absolute cure for crime, right? There'll always be people who commit crimes. One of the best deterrents for crime, such as theft and looting and whatnot, is simply people presence, right? Because of the fact that while criminals are willing to break the law, they don't want to be caught doing it, right? They don't want to serve the penalty of paying a fine or oftentimes going to prison, so they don't want to be caught committing crimes, right? And one of the biggest deterrence is having people around at various different parts of the times of the day. And when you have people having to be stuck in their homes even longer now, right? That means that for a lot of these rioters and protesters, because what people who are pro rioting, and believe it or not, there are out there people who are pro rioting or who will criticize you if you denounce the rioting, which is something I'm dealing with on Facebook right now. People trying to put me in my place because I dare to mention that, the rioting doesn't help anything. Oh, I don't care about black lives. Look at this face. I obviously care about black lives, and I care about all lives, even the lives of the idiot rioters. I care about those lives too. I don't want to see them die. Go to jail, sure. Clean up the mess that they made, certainly. But I don't want to see them die. But anyway, my point in all this is that when there's no people or a lot less people around, criminals are going to feel even more emboldened, which is exactly what a curfew does. It forces people who would have been on the street into their homes, which means that there's less people around in general, which means that the crimes are going to continue, if not go up, right? So I just wanted to get that off of my chest here. Another thing is that I have not been sleeping well in the past 2 days, right? And the funny thing is that I really couldn't figure out why I wasn't sleeping well. I mean, I never sleep well. I don't think I've slept well in over a decade. But I've been sleeping better than I normally do because since we're on lockdown, I have to be at home pretty much all the time. I get to sleep more. I get to sleep in. I get to sleep longer. Yet I noticed for the past 2 nights, even when I go to bed at like 11 o'clock, which is for me a decent hour, right? I'll wake up at like 3 or 4, whereas usually prior to that I was waking up around like 5:30 or 6, right? And I've just been feeling apprehensive and angry and on edge for the past 2 days. And it's one of those things where it's like you know why, but you also don't know why. It's very hard to explain. But then, as I was watching a Liana K video, I was writing a comment, and as I was writing the comment, it hit me. The emotions that I'm feeling, a lot of the emotions I'm feeling, are the same emotions that I felt on 9/11. Now, I made a video last year where I chewed out Hassan Piker, and I gave a very long, detailed account of what I literally went through that day when 9/11 happened. So I'm not going to rehash that here. If you want to see that, you can check the videos or search it up or whatever. But the same anxiety, the same frustration, the same sense of fear, I was like, that's why I feel this way. It's like a lesser form of what I felt in 9/11, because here's the thing. I am, at present, lucky enough at present I am lucky enough that the rioting and protesting has not directly marched into my neighborhood. But it very well could, right? It very well could. Same way I was lucky enough that I was not in Manhattan, in the financial district when 9/11 happened. But I could have been, right? And the fact of the matter, at least to me, is that regardless of whether or not I am personally impacted, whether I personally witness it, I still live here. I still live in this city. I still love this city. Seeing Tremont on fire, doesn't impact me less because I'm in Queens and Tremont is in the Bronx. I go to the Bronx. When I could actually commute, I work in the Bronx. This hurts me as much. Well, I shouldn't say as much. That's not fair. But this hurts me too. Even though I am not, at least as of yet, personally impacted in the sense of witnessing it for myself in my own neighborhood. But my heart goes out to the people in Brooklyn and the Bronx and certain parts of Manhattan that have been impacted by this. And not just here, but in Minnesota and in many other places, because wherever it's happening, it's hurting people, right? People want to talk about, it's just buildings, it's just property damage. Yeah, it's easy to say that until it's your building, until it's your property. 13 people at present, from what I have read. This could continue. You're not really going to know until it's over, but at least 13 people have died because of these riots. Thousands have been arrested. This does not help one damn thing. It doesn't honor George Floyd. It will not change police policy. None of this helps. None of this helps. All it does is create a state of fear. I have been jumping out of my damn skin for 2 days. And here's the thing. Under the lockdown, I felt restless, right? I felt restless, but I didn't feel scared. I felt a little frustrated, restless, annoyed. I don't like this stupid mask thing. But I legit feel scared because I'm scared whether or not these rioters are going to come into my part of town. I'm scared about what if, God forbid, I have to go get something, right? And it's like 7:58. Can I get back across the street? If I end up outside for some reason at 8:05, is a police officer going to come over and give me a hard time? Which doesn't necessarily mean having to like physically assault me or arrest me. I simply don't want to have encounters with the police for anything, because I don't know which cop I'm getting, right? Just as cops don't know whether they're dealing with a regular person, a decent person, or a criminal, I don't know when a cop approaches me, whether I'm getting a decent, normal person or a nutcase with a badge. And at this point, honestly, I don't want to encounter either one of them. I'm not in the mood for any of this. And whereas previously I just felt a bit stir crazy, I guess is the term you could use. Right now, I legit feel trapped. And a large reason I feel trapped is because of the curfews. And the curfews exist because of the rioters. So thank you, rioters. You have impacted a person and many other people. It's not just me, right? But you have impacted a person who had nothing to do with you. I didn't hurt you. And yet you're hurting me. Granted, in a very indirect way, but still, you're hurting me with your actions. And the biggest thing is that these rioters, I'm not talking about the protesters, those are different, right? But these rioters, these looters, all they do is benefit themselves, right? But it's everybody else. It's people like me who get impacted in a very indirect way. But it's people who have to come out of their homes in those neighborhoods and help with the cleanup. It's the store owners. And here's the thing. Many of the places hit are, small mom and pop shops. One place was a pharmacy. What the hell are you breaking into a pharmacy for? Another place was like a T-Mobile store. So you want to steal a phone. That's going to honor George Floyd stealing a phone. Breaking into a pharmacy. Breaking into a Foot Locker, a sneaker shop, an AutoZone. That's totally going to help highlight to the police and the politicians the issues about police brutality. Sure, that's it, Chief. That's going to help. That's really going to stick it to the man. Except the man is an elderly black couple or an elderly Hispanic couple that has to literally clean up the mess you made. Anyway, I just wanted to just vent and get that off of my chest. I'm just venting. I'm just ranting. There's no real point to this video. I think I'm gonna take a break from social media for a few days. Sort myself out. Maybe come back when I'm a little calmer, feel a little better. We'll see what happens. But anyway, I hope you guys are well wherever you are, and please stay safe. Stay safe, because I don't feel safe right now. But anyhow, I'll see y'all around at some point. I just need to take some time to myself. So see you around. Bye.